Really? Yeah. Okay, this is episode 5 of the Trade Off podcast. So, what I kind of want to talk about today is an idea I've been tossing around, which is like basically what to do when you're really down bad. I think in general, there's so many situations in life, just like living, right? Living is fucking hard, really difficult. And, uh, and when you're on a path that's unconventional, that requires a lot of discipline. There's a lot of I think the big guys are coining the term lonely path, right? Like the lonely period or something like that. And it's the concept of you needing to continue to put the inputs and doing stuff and making actions to accomplish a certain goal that you might have without really knowing if it's a good goal, without really having any kind of guarantee of success. Because if you had a guarantee, you do it in an instant, right? You would have to like be able to crawl on glass if you knew for 100% you're gonna get a milli at the end of it, right? It's like there's a lot of things you'd be willing to do if you have a guarantee of success. And unfortunately, in this life and career and entrepreneurship and online business and everything that you ever want to do um, that's cool and noteworthy, it's going to be a case of you needing to do things without a guarantee of success. And oftentimes it comes naturally, but not oftentimes. Sometimes, rarely, it comes naturally. But in general, 90% of the time, it's just going to be a really, really hard process that you're going to have to like hustle through. Uh, in my case, I've been trying to launch like an online business for 5 fucking years. After 5 years, only after 5 years, I've first time ever last half year has been like successful, right? Where I actually had some money. It wasn't anything big. It was like making income. It was like basically just covering my income. Yeah, now I'm doing it full time. Now I'm traveling. Still very basic, very kind of humble beginnings, but I love it. Right? It's like actually accomplishing goals, actually some fruits of my labor. But it took me fucking 5 years to get here, and I'm gonna explain like the process I went through during those 5 years because it wasn't the cookie cutter cookie cutter situation where you gonna have a clear path, you have a clear idea. Oh, I want to make a amazing agency that's going to do this, right? Oh, I want to launch a marketing agency. No, throughout the whole process, I'm not actually doing a marketing agency right now. I'm kind of making websites, but I actually started getting some success when uh, I did automation work. There's just some context. So that was like half years ago. I launched like an automation agency back when it was really hypey, and then it kind of evolved into me making websites using AI instead of doing automation work because I realized that doing stuff with AI is a smarter use of time than trying to implement AI systems in businesses. But that's for another day. Um, what I want to get here is that it took a really long time to land on this idea. When I started, I had no inkling where I'm gonna end up where I am now. And I probably have no inkling where I'm gonna end up after like 5 years, right? But through that time, there was a lot of doing without knowing if there's gonna be a payoff. And for the most of the time, I didn't actually get a payoff. For the most of the stuff I didn't get a payoff until like 5 years after, when it finally clicked. Ah, like this one thing I invested my time in 5 years ago finally paid off. What? That's crazy, you know? I'm gonna talk you through the timeline I actually had. So I kind of left school. Um, I started studying university. Realized I didn't enjoy what I was studying at all. Then I left university because I had this inkling of, hey, I want to be something great. And at that time, I was like really into e-commerce. So I did like a bunch of dropshipping stores. First store I did, I was building a website for like 3 months. And I launched the website. I didn't run any ads with it because I was scared. I got the ads made. I hired like a freelancer to make the ads, but I just couldn't launch it because I was scared to sell it. Uh, it's so funny looking back. The next few ideas were very similar. Then I launched an idea with my buddies. Also really funny because we took like 2 months to just make a fucking website. And by the time we made the website, the thing already passed. It was like very seasonal. It was the big flu is associated with that, and basically just passed. Right. It was a business around that. And if it would have started at the beginning, we maybe would have made some money. We did actually make some money, but it was chump change. Then after that, I launched another store. Also, this time I launched the ads. I actually sold something, but then we kind of dropped the ads once we kind of got sketched out from Alibaba like sellers. We just couldn't trust them to deliver a good product. Then after that, we launched a startup, right? We went through the whole incubation process of a startup. We went to like a proper incubator, a proper startup cycle. We got some funding, really, really small. We just won like a small competition, got like a few $100. Also just dropped because we just couldn't find anybody to buy it. It's like it was a case of us investing all that time into developing something that we didn't actually validate anybody needed. It was really funny. And yeah, that just kept happening. But after that, I took a job in digital marketing. I got some skills. During those, we also made Etsy stores, right? So I tried so many things. And then after all this e-commerce stuff, I kind of realized I had a little bit of a knack for automation. So I started really researching that. I loved it. At the time, it wasn't really that AI heavy. It was more like an A10 make. Make was the big one at the beginning, and A10 came later. But I realized, oh, really cool. Love making these puzzles out of these works, and I like connecting these apps. I saw there's a real value to it for businesses, and yeah, that's the first idea that I invested enough that I put my name behind it, that I went through, and I got my first client, and it got some money. 5 freaking years through all those cycles, and ended up doing something completely unrelated to all that time I invested in. And even though I think right now we're making websites, we're making AI systems, because I still kind of dabble in that, the biggest advantage I have is all that time I had previously invested into trying to make a business happen, because I have all this information, all this knowledge about how a business actually works and what doesn't work and what does work. So I have actual experience. So when I'm talking to a client, I can actually recognize patterns. I can recognize their business case, and I can actually talk to them not only like a website designer. I can actually figure out a good business use case for that website, right? When I'm making a website for service clients right now, mainly, yeah, I actually have an understanding of what it means to be a business, and I can apply some business logic to my websites and don't just make them look pretty, because there's a lot of things you tend to do when delivering services that businesses don't really need. They might look pretty, they might sound fancy, but they don't need. By the way, I've also made a bunch of those. It's a bunch of systems the business don't need. I don't want to sound like a saint, but it's an idea that all this experience compounded. It compounded into something that actually is worthwhile. The question is, what happens when it's really bad? Because throughout all that time, throughout all those failures, I kind of ran through them in like a single sentence, basically. But when I was in them, they felt awful. Each and every one of them felt like really bad, like really shit, like I'm a failure. Because right now, looking back, it makes so much sense. Everything kind of compounded, everything fit into place, and I have all these cool skills and ideas and context that I can leech off of when making my decisions now that I didn't have before. But at that time, it didn't feel like it. Each idea felt like the next thing that I'm actually going to succeed in, especially in the beginning layer. You kind of adjust to later. It becomes kind of a habit, and you don't, stop kind of expecting. Then there's the opposite problem, because you're not expecting, you're not committing. But besides the point, during those times when you're really down, when you kind of fail, you're back against the wall, what do? That's the kind of thing I've been thinking about today. And I have some ideas on how I usually approach this. So you can, comment stuff down below, share what your methods are. I think mainly I'm a big essentialist guy, especially recently. I really committed to making my life streamlined as possible and reducing as much decisions as possible. And for me, whenever I feel like really bad or really stressed, there's some fundamental priorities that you need to fix that 90% of the time are going to go, let's say 80-20, right? The 80-20 rule. There's like stuff you can do that's going to, really small stuff that's going to bring up 80% of your results. Whenever I'm demotivated, whenever I'm really, really down and think everything's falling apart, step one, fix sleep. It's the hardest thing to do when you're stressed out. And that's the reason why stressing out is like a bit of a spiral, because you don't get enough sleep, because you're always stressed and you're always working like crazy. You don't get enough sleep. And once you don't get enough sleep, you don't have enough motivation power, right? Everything drops. Once you don't get enough sleep, you drop testosterone, you drop, every kind of biological function that helps you kind of keep things going just drops, plummets to the ground. And doing everything else becomes so much harder. I think Brian, the optimize for life guy, the guy who what was his slogan? Yeah, I think it was like optimize, survive or something. Brian Johnson, right? This is the guy who wants to live until he's like immortal, right? The guy who's trying to make himself immortal. He also says this, right? At this point, he's went through a lump, and he always says the first step is optimize sleep, second, exercise, and third, nutrition, right? These three things for your body, they're for your body, for your health, for you to survive. But only that first two, I would say, are gonna have like such a crazy impact on your motivation, on your drive, on your willpower, to keep things going, on your motivation, because discipline is really hard to maintain. You don't really want to make it harder for yourself. And sleep. If you're really down bad on everything in life, if everything's falling apart, just try and get some sleep. That's like a little bit of a motto. I think for the most stressful periods of life, where everything just feels really bad and really tough, I think something that really has helped me is just think, okay, let's just fix sleep. Right, let's focus on a little thing I can fix right now is sleep. Let's just go to sleep early. Right, like everything is falling apart. Let's just try and go to sleep early. Am I gonna fix it tonight? Probably not. In a lot of cases, sometimes yes, but and yes, I can just do it. Right, I just can get off the board. But oftentimes there's these big issues that just can't be fixed overnight. So let's just sleep. Let's just make sure that I wake up tomorrow the best possible condition to figure this out. Tomorrow everything still sucks. Okay, I'm gonna keep doing the things I'm doing, but at the night I'm just gonna try and sleep again. Just optimize for that one thing. Then once you optimize for that one thing, all of a sudden your brain kind of clears up. All of a sudden you get more energy to do stuff. All of a sudden you get more energy to kind of go out for a walk, or go out for a run, or go out for an exercise. Then once you have that exercise, you have that pump. Oh, bro, that's everything kind of shoots up, because you then get that testosterone. You then get all those. What kind of biological? We're meat machines, essentially, right? And I think it's really easy to forget that because we're so conscious of it. But once you realize you're a meat machine, a lot of things can be solved with meaty inputs. Right? Once you realize you're a meat machine, then consider a computer, right? When it's like hard drive's completely full, it's gonna be laggy and it's gonna be breaking down. It's gonna suck. All the RAM is full. First thing you do, you clear it out, right? You kind of take care of the little things, right? You kind of do a factory reset, boom, everything's solved. Well, in life it's a bit different, obviously. But yeah, that's the thing I've been thinking about. What's the minimal kind of viable input strategy to get yourself out of a rut? And from my perspective, from my experience, it's almost always just dialing in those biological inputs, which is like sleep, exercise, and food. And like 90% of the time in my condition, like just sorting out that sleep and making yourself sleep well really reduces a lot of the stressors that you have. And then once you kind of get into a zone of sleeping good, then you kind of get, that motivation back to kind of keep going, kind of get things started again, right? It's not going to happen fast. I don't want to make it seem like you're going to have one good night's sleep and it's going to solve. No, often it takes months, right? But after a month of really good sleep, you're gonna have a lot of motivation. That's how I look at it. Yeah, I should probably start with that little kind of inkling of a fact, because yeah, often people think, oh yeah, it's dumb advice, but you're probably just sleeping for a day. Try sleeping good for a month. Try prioritizing only sleep for a month. Don't think about your business. Don't think about making money. Just think about having a good night's sleep, right? Easier said than done. Obviously, you might have rent, you might have all this shit. But even though everything's crashing down, prioritize sleep, right? That's like the thing you put above everything else, and everything else is crashing. Fuck that. That's it. That's life. It's gonna crash anyway, if you sleep or don't. Unless you can solve it today. If you can solve it today, solve it today. But you probably can't. That's the issue. Why you're stressing. So yeah, just try and sleep as much as you can. After a month of a good sleep, I'm gonna fucking guarantee you're gonna be shooting out ideas. Your brain kind of thanks you for taking care of your body, and it just starts computing things differently. You start seeing the world differently, because reality really is just a projection of your mind. It's a projection of your mind. So once you kind of also think about that reality, where reality doesn't exist, right? It's all a combination of synapses, combination of electrons going through your brain. Then you realize that fuck, once your brain isn't swollen from not sleeping, once your body is healthy, all these things just fire in different patterns and change reality. Yeah, that's kind of hocus pocus. Once again, there's gonna be a day where I'm able to say this in like a convincing manner where it actually makes sense. That's why I'm practicing. I kind of have to remind myself, because after a big rant like this, I'm kind of thinking like, what the fuck am I doing? That's the whole idea of this little experiment that I'm doing with these podcasts. I'm trying to make like 100 episodes, and I'm so confident that after 100 episodes of this, I'm gonna get so good at talking about ideas. So yeah, that's it. Have a good day. Ciao.